Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the Rational Gooner and this is my top 10 Arsenal right backs of the Premier League era. So I'm going to start with number 10, which I've put in as Carl Jenkinson. Carl Jenkinson was a good player for Arsenal, very solid. Didn't get as much praise as he possibly should have done, but I think he was Arsenal through and through. When he signed for Arsenal from Charlton, he looked like a decent player for us, and although he wasn't the first choice to start with, he certainly cemented a place in that first team, and I think he's a worthy addition to the top 10. It was quite funny to see what his bedroom looked like when he was a kid, because it was absolutely caked in Arsenal memorabilia and posters and merchandise, so I think that's quite sweet in an era where a lot of footballers are in it for the money and for the fame. When you can play for your boyhood club and live out your dream, then that's actually quite a nice story. So, yeah, number 10, Carl Jenkinson. So number 9 is Callum Chambers. Callum Chambers, again, was a fringe player for a long time, but I do feel that he deserves to be in our top 10 of Premier League right-backs. He was at the club for 8 years and he does have an FA Cup winners medal. He did have regular first team experience, played in the Champions League for us. So, yeah, I think Callum Chambers should be at number 9. So let's move on to number 8. I've gone for Oleg Luzhny. During the Arsene Wenger era, there was always a premium for places in that back four, especially with certain players at right back that were in that era. But whenever Oleg Luzhny stepped in for this player that is a bit further up the list, he always did a great job. He was solid, not so much gifted with pace like other players that in similar positions, but what he did give was passion, desire, and he was a good footballer. So yeah, Oleg Luzhny, a very worthy number 8 on the list. Number 7, I've gone for Emmanuel Eboué. Emmanuel Eboué frustrated me at times during his playing career with Arsenal. I'd seen him many times live at the Emirates, and some of his movements were, let's say, a bit sketchy, and some of his decision making was a bit sketchy, namely when we gave away that last minute penalty against Liverpool at the Emirates, which a lot of Gooners are still angry with him about after we'd scored a penalty at the other end only a couple of minutes previous. But overall, though, he was part of that team where he stepped in and pretty much played as an emergency right back in the 2006 season, and he managed to cement his place at right back with injuries elsewhere, and he was a regular in the Champions League campaign, which we got to the final in. So I think he's was a great right back, a good player for us. Temperament possibly questionable, but definitely deserves to be in the top 10, and I've put him at number 7. So for number 6, I've gone for the Spanish matador Hector Bellerin. Bags of pace, lots of talent, not so much of a good first touch, but he had a great heart, and he spent a long time playing at right back, and not a lot of players challenged him for that position. He was one of our more pacier players. I can remember a game against Bayern Munich in the Champions League where he absolutely roasted their defenders, overlapping around Theo Walcott. So I think Hector Bellerin is a good addition to this top 10. I don't think there's any players that are below him that should be above him. Obviously, it is my opinion, and I have been wrong before, but that's what I feel for Hector Bellerin to be at number 6. Now for my top 5. These are the top 5 right backs in the Premier League for Arsenal. Number 5 is a current player. I've put Ben White in there. Now, when we signed Ben White from Brighton, I was expecting him to play a lot more games at centre-back or centre midfield than at right-back. But what he's done is he's managed to make that right-back position his own, especially in the first couple of years that he played for the club. He had a great partnership with Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard. Those three seem to make a brilliant triangle. He used to overlap Saka, and his crossing ability is second to none. He's a really, really good technical player. He's got a bit of pace about him, but the best part of him, and I think what most Gooners will agree with me about is his attitude. He is 100% for that shirt. He plays for that badge. And when there's another teammate in trouble, when somebody's having a bit of a bad time, what does he do? He's there to back him up. He's also got a bit of the housery about him, and he's a bit of a wind-up merchant, which I absolutely adore. I do love it when Ben White winds opposition players up, and he's absolutely deserves to be at number 5 on this list. Number 4 then, another current player, and it was a toss-up between him and Ben White, but I have gone for Jurrien Timber at number 4. And the reason I've gone for Jurrien Timber at number 4 is because he is a better defender than Ben White. I think Ben White is a great player, but Jurrien Timber defensively is the best right back that we have had for at least a decade. I'm a big fan of Jurrien Timber. I was there at the Nottingham Forest home game, first game of the season when he made his debut, and unfortunately he tore his ACL, and then he was out for pretty much the whole of that season. It was heartbreaking, but when he came back, he was strong. He's been consistent, and he's now being touted as one of the best right backs in the league, alongside players like Reece James. So, absolute superb player, and I look forward to seeing him playing at the World Cup for Holland in the summer as well. Number 3, this might be a bit controversial to some Arsenal fans, but I have put Bakary Sagna in that position. Sagna did leave us for Man City at a time when we probably shouldn't have got rid of him, and but when I look back on that period when we kept losing players to other Premier League teams and making us weaker and them stronger, I do feel like it's not the player's fault. The player has been tempted by the promise of trophies and money, and there's a lot of money going around at other clubs at that time, and Arsenal just couldn't, with their wage structure, compete with that. Bakary Sagna was a brilliant servant for us. He thoroughly deserves to be at number 3. He was a stalwart at right back. There was no way anybody was going to start ahead of him if he was fit. I honestly think that if he'd have stayed at Arsenal, he may be even further up this list, because I rate him that highly. Number 2 then, I have gone for the Invincible. I've gone for Lauren. Lauren was signed pretty much as backup when we got him. Very quickly became a fan favourite, and he literally was Mr. Reliable at right back. We just, every game, as soon as you've named your goalkeeper, the next player you name is Lauren, because he's just going to be there. He'll be at right back. And during that season where we won the title in 2004, he didn't put a foot wrong. I don't think many of the players in that team put a foot wrong overall throughout the season, but there were individual mistakes. There were moments where you thought, could have done better. Lauren, not really. There was one argument he had with Thierry Henry where he probably should have passed it rather than shoot himself in the last minute against Manchester United. But that wasn't that season. That was the season afterwards, and Henry was very unhappy with him after that game, and it was showing on the Sky Sports pictures. But apart from that, I just think that as far as right backs are concerned, Lauren was a absolutely brilliant servant for Arsenal. So number 1, it will come as no surprise that I've put this man at number 1. It's Lee Dixon. Lee Dixon was the right back that I watched growing up. I can remember the first time I watched Arsenal play away at Villa Park in the 93-94 season. We went there and we won 2-1. Ian Wright got both the goals. But my dad got us there a little bit earlier, and we managed to watch a few Arsenal players come off the team coach and, sort of walk past, and there was a few autograph hunters stood in front of us, but I managed to poke my head through just as Lee Dixon was stood there, and I managed to get eye contact with him, and he gave me a smile, and I was 9 years old, so that just, you get that kind of adrenaline rush of, oh my God, I've just met one of my heroes. I didn't even speak to him. And it actually went full circle 2 years ago when I was in London for an event through my good friend organising, I actually got to meet Lee Dixon, shake his hand. I told him about the first time that I saw him as a kid, and it was really nice. He's such a gentleman, but as far as football is concerned, oh my God, what a servant to the club Lee Dixon was. Throughout the entire time I was watching football in the 90s, Lee Dixon was our right back. Nobody got in ahead of him. He was brilliant. It's a shame he didn't get as many games for England as he perhaps should have done, but with players like Paul Parker and Gary Neville, it was difficult for him to get in ahead of them. Still, he won the double with us twice, and in his last season, he won the double with us. Or was it that I will correct myself, and I'm not going to edit this out. He actually finished the season after. He was the captain in our cup final victory over Southampton in 2003, but he won the double in 2002 with us, the double in 1998 with us, and I can't put anybody else at number one on this list because Lee Dixon is a hero of mine. So there you go, that's my top 10. Now it's time to just give a few honourable mentions. Obviously, this is the Premier League era, so a lot of you will be shouting Pat Rice and Kenny Sampson, to name a couple, before the time that I started watching them. But it was before my time, so I really can't make a judgment on that. All I can say is what I've seen. Honourable mentions will go, so Takahiro Tomiyasu could easily have gone on that list ahead of what I've put on there. Mathieu Debuchy, very injury prone, but he did look like a decent signing when he came from Newcastle. Justin Hoyt, another one that came up through the Hale End Academy. He was quite a decent player for us, but never really broke through those ranks because he had better players ahead of him, unfortunately. But he did make a lot of cup appearances for us. But yeah, I can't really think of anyone else that's worth mentioning. If you can think of anyone, please put them in the comments. If I've made a glaring error and there is definitely someone that should be in that top 10, please do let me know. Otherwise, feel free to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my content. Your feedback is always helpful, whether it's positive or negative. So thank you very much for listening today, and I'll be back again after the Mansfield game for the reaction from that, and also I will then bring my next top 10, which will be left backs from the Premier League era. Until then, thanks a lot, and I hope you have a good Friday evening.